Alright. Well, now, it said that all of the rooms on the first floor were accounted for, but there's 7 saints. We only saw 2 rooms that we could go into, which means that there's technically 5 that we haven't come across. Oh, apparently there's more for this.
Detective, it looks as though I might be out here all weekend. What can I do for you?
Would it not be easier to find the staff yourself instead of waiting for their return?
I'm a guest. I shouldn't have to go around chasing them.
Perhaps the party preparation is more of a priority.
It's not my fault they aren't ready. Why don't I wait here while you check in the butler's pantry in the east corridor? I think I saw a maid go in there earlier.
I shall take up no more of your time. À bientôt.
Alright, inspect the butler's pantry. Which I'm assuming is one of these doors over here. I wonder if it's going to be, Elizabeth. Yep. Pots and pans. Cook has obviously used them for quite some time, judging by their condition. Wow, it does not look like there's a whole lot to investigate here, but that's not too much of a surprise. Does not seem to be anything of interest in here. Alright. Then why let me investigate it?
Ah, Mademoiselle Elizabeth. What a pleasure to see you again.
Detective Poirot, I'm so glad you could make it.
Unfortunately, it is not purely for pleasure that I am here. Mademoiselle Angeline requires my attention professionally.
Yes, Angeline has told me. I'm glad she called upon you, Detective. I've been rather worried about her.
I will do everything I can to find the blackmailer and bring them to justice.
I have every faith in you.
I hope I am not interrupting you.
We're all very busy, as I'm sure you can imagine. After I'm done, I can come to your room and help you with any further questions.
I saw the welcome book as I arrived.
Ah, yes. Guests are requested to sign the book when arriving. I believe it gives details to the guests' room locations.
It stated the male guests are to be staying in the east wing.
Yes, Madame does not believe in male and female guests residing beside one another.
I'm rather embarrassed to say I'm having trouble locating my room.
No one escorted you. I am so sorry. Everyone is just so frantic at the moment. Madame has requested all staff prepare for this evening.
And you have been tasked with jobs in the pantry. Surely your talents could be used elsewhere.
I do as Madame asks. Well, as Archie asks.
Monsieur Sterling. Yes, I met him when I arrived. A charming gentleman. He did give me some rather vague instructions to find my room, though.
I can only apologise on his behalf. He would be mortified. I'm afraid I cannot be of much more help, but I believe you are located next to Mr. De Silva. By all means, the house is yours to explore.
Suppose I should not take Monsieur Sterling's lack of directions personally, considering the amount of work the staff have been tasked with. At least now I have permission to further roam the house. I'm glad to see Mademoiselle Angeline is not allowed to blackmail to dampen her spirits today.
Yes, I'm afraid it may be all for show, though. She has not been herself, and it is not only I that have noticed.
Madame Vandenbosch. Surely it must have had some effect on her.
Madame has carried on as though nothing has happened. She has never been one to show emotion, and she doesn't seem to notice how it has affected Angeline. The staff, on the other hand... Angeline means no harm, but there have been some instances recently where she has acted rather sharply with them.
I hope not too sharply. A house of 2 Madame Vandenbosches would surely be too much for anyone.
I've been eagerly waiting to hear more of Belgium's greatest love story.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm afraid it is far from a happy ending. Luke is sadly no longer with us.
Oh, mademoiselle, I was not aware.
It's fine, Detective, honestly. I'm sorry, but I really must finish this.
Bien sûr, mademoiselle.
For a man that has a mind so brilliant and astute, I have made an easy job of embarrassing myself. Let this be a reminder to use one's gray cells before
Merci,
speaking.
mademoiselle.
The pleasure is mine, Detective.
I mean, even if you had, well, I mean, the only thing that you could have determined potentially to know that he was dead, um, would be the fact that she wasn't fired. But even then, I mean, maybe Angeline managed to step in and stop her from getting fired.
Before you leave, Detective, I have something for you beside the furnace here from Angeline. She wanted me to give it to you on your arrival.
Merci, mademoiselle.
And why didn't you?
Oh.
The second letter acknowledges a payment from a previous blackmail letter. You're wise to take me seriously. You have bought my silence for a moment at least. Your family's privacy obviously means a great deal to you if you're willing to pay to keep your secrets hidden, and continue to pay you will. Would your maman be as willing to part with her wealth? You will bring a second parcel with another 5,000 francs to the cobblers, this time addressed to a Monsieur Fontaine by close on Friday. You have done your family a service by keeping this arrangement to yourself. I'm sure I do not have to tell you what will happen if the police are involved, and I hope it will not come to that. Oh, my foot's itchy. I'm now able to read the letters that were sent to Mademoiselle Angeline. I am sure there is a great deal to learn from them, and hopefully some clues to the author. What is this? Quill pen. The letter was written in fancy handwriting. I mean,
Things are beginning to become.
can't ignore the coincidence. The same style of pen that wrote the letters is present in the house. Oh, and that gives me another conversation with Elizabeth. And I still have a couple more conversations with Angeline.
Of course, Detective.
I noticed a rather extravagant looking pen in the hall.
I would not say it in front of the Major, but it is rather hideous. It was a gift from him to Madame from his time overseas. I don't think it even has the capability of writing.
A pen that does not write is like a fish that cannot swim.
As Angeline describes it, a useless ornament. It's the thought that counts, I suppose.
Merci.
Pleasure is mine, Detective.
Alright. So the same type of pen, but not actually able to be used. Alright.
Aha.
The deeds for the house are rightly framed, but why left here and not hanging on the wall? I don't know. Why would you hang the deed for your house on your wall? Shouldn't you be, like, keeping that somewhere safe? Like in a vault or a safe or, something? I mean, I guess you could have a copy hanging up on your wall to be like, haha, look, I own the place, but you would kind of assume that, anybody that's coming to your house knows that you own the house, right? Alright, I know I have a conversation with Angeline. Oh, still can't go into that room. Alright, I just wanted to check that room since he's like, aha, I have permission to explore more.
What can I help you with, Detective?
Elizabeth showed me the letters you received. One of them has already been paid.
I was right to pay it, yes? You have read them. What do you think?
You were wise to consult me, but bowing to their threat may have only shown that you are willing to pay for their silence. Is the secret they speak of worth so much?
I wish I could, but I have no idea. The letter was addressed to me, but I have nothing to hide. Maman took one look at it and disregarded the whole thing as someone's idea of a joke.
She looked at it. She is not aware of the second letter.
She doesn't know I paid the first. I thought I could make it all go away.
Very rarely will a blackmailer stop after the first payment because they will still have that information on you.
Did you ask Madame if there was a family secret they could be privy to?
She said I was to ignore the letters and stop wasting my time with such foolishness. If there was something, she wouldn't tell me anyway.
Appears Mademoiselle believes her maman's attempts to brush away the serious nature of the letters as little as I do. May I ask how you came into such a large amount of money to pay the ransom?
I couldn't ask Maman for the money. She was angry that I had even considered paying it. Gideon offered to help.
Pardon, did he not think you foolish for paying?
He did, but he said he couldn't stand by and watch me in so much distress.
How honorable.
We are soon to be married, Detective. A loving partnership that faces their troubles together. They are his words.
I did not mean anything by it, mademoiselle. You have found yourself a husband that will stand by your side and do what must be done to protect you. I am most pleased for you.
How has Mademoiselle Elizabeth been since the passing of her beloved Luke?
As you would expect, she has been in quite a state. It was such a terrible accident. She kept it to herself for almost a week before she even told me.
Pardon, how could you not know? Surely his absence from the house was noticed.
Maman fired him after he returned to the house. She said he could not be trusted.
But Mademoiselle Elizabeth's position was kept?
I begged Maman for them both, but she said if he was willing to go behind her back, what else could he do?
Falling in love is a far cry from committing even the smallest crime, n'est-ce pas?
Cruel and unnecessary decision by Madame Van den Bosch. She has no right to fire him and tear him away from his betrothed. I spoke with Mademoiselle Elizabeth, and I fear I may have upset
She
her.
has been a kind shoulder to lean on through all this mess, but it is her I worry about. She has been through so much.
I was not aware of what had happened, and by mentioning, I fear I may have only made it worse by dredging up the past.
Do not punish yourself, Detective. You are not to know. I don't think your honest mistake will make much difference to how she has been feeling recently.
It's easier said than done. I've already seen a difference in Mademoiselle Elizabeth. She was once so exuberant and optimistic, seeing the positives in everything and everyone. But now I fear the loss of her love, and the careless reminder from moi may have dampened her outlook.
Merci, mademoiselle. I shall find you if there is anything further I need.
Okay, well that did unlock some clues. And something else that I can link. Okay, so Madame is unaware of payment. And because Gideon
I
paid
must
it.
act on...
Really? Well, I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. Payment acknowledged. Staff concerned for Angeline doesn't make sense.
Come, my little grey cells.
I mean, this doesn't really.
Some would say a lucky
Really?
guess. I would say
I
a
would
moment
consider
of
that a lucky
genius.
guess. The fuck did Duck? They will no doubt be concerned for not only Angeline, but also for their positions at the house. What is the extent of their knowledge to the matter? I mean, could you really uh make that deduction? Like, from these two clues, could you make that deduction? Like, the fact that her mother doesn't know that she paid it, and the staff are concerned about her, even if they didn't know about the blackmail, they could just be concerned about her because she's acting differently because of the blackmail. They would understandably notice that she's acting differently, but not necessarily know why. All right, so Cassandra angry at Elizabeth and Luke, and Elizabeth hasn't been herself.
Is there something...
Oh, well, Elizabeth hasn't been herself since Luke was fired either.
I must take a different approach if I am...
I mean, I'm assuming these two.
This will not
No.
get me any closer.
Oh, maybe these two. That would make sense.
Magnifique.
Yeah. It is truly terrible that Luke passed away and see how broken Elizabeth is. Elizabeth mourns for Luke. And she's upset Florette was
The
dismissed.
pieces of the puzzle are fine.
Losing a loved one and not having a close friend to talk to would be difficult for anyone. Alright. Okay, well, I'm also assuming that I have a conversation with Gideon that I can. Oh, I can have another one with
Detective,
him too. Monsieur Sterling said my room was on the first floor.
is that what he said? I can barely understand most of what he says with that accent.
Can understand Monsieur Sterling perfectly, but Monsieur Demira is one more vin rouge away from becoming
I
unintelligible.
find his accent rather pleasant, reassuring.
I guess. Not too helpful when it comes to finding your room, though. You'll probably be the lucky one that has that hideous plant outside the door.
I shall take up no
Okay.
more.
A hideous plant outside the door, eh? Alright. Well, it's weird directions, but I guess directions.
Please, ask away, detective.
I assume you have heard about the consequences of my visit last time.
Angeline has spoken of it. You made quite the impression on her, detective.
I feel responsible for what came from that day. Florette's dismissal and Luke's.
It is not your fault. Madame Vandenbosch does not like it when her rules or authority are undermined. I try to explain to Angeline the same, but her guilt has not left her.
Mademoiselle explained the payment of the blackmail
I
letter.
suppose you think I was unwise to pay it?
I am glad Mademoiselle requested my help before you fell further out of pocket.
Madame Vandenbosch had no intentions of paying it, whether she believes there is a secret that could ruin the family or not.
It was an honorable move for you to make the payment. It was certainly no small fee.
Angeline is to be my wife, and then we shall be family. As far as I am concerned, my money is our money.
Merci, monsieur. I shall leave you to prepare for the...
Okay. Angeline guilty about dismissal. And she did try to contact
This
Florette.
will not get me any closer.
Alright. Well, I mean, my other thought is that, which is why she's mindful of the
Magnifique.
staff. Yeah. Trying to do good, even though the dismissals weren't entirely her fault. Is trying to redeem herself and has matured.
Come, my
No,
little
really?
Grisel.
How does that not?
I should not be surprised by my own...
Yeah. Mademoiselle Angeline says she never intended for Florette to be fired, and I believe her. It is certainly not the happy news I was expecting. Mademoiselle Elizabeth lost her beloved Luke, and young Florette, the maid servant, has not been seen even with Mademoiselle Angeline's efforts. At least it appears the family have survived their financial difficulties. Hey, objective complete. Look at that. We found out the results of our last case, basically. All right, now you said an ugly plant outside the door. So it's obviously not that one, and that's also clearly not our room. And this also, which means that we must have to go down one of these wings over here. So we can either go to the southeast quarter or the northeast quarter, and I don't know which one our room's in, so may as well try this one. More luggage for Mr. E. De Silva, left unattended and right between the two front-facing rooms. Alright, so if this is De Silva's, then we'll go to the other hallway first, because our room is supposed to be next to his, right? So assuming they didn't fuck up that badly, that means that this is definitely not the path to our room. Zachary Demira presume it is rather expensive luggage. His room faces the back garden. This plant is striking and full of color. It really draws one's attention in a positive way. Okay, and we're not allowed in that room. Time and skill. Okay, so that's the same as the grandfather clock downstairs. Oh. Yeah, the luggage. Should really conclude this room is mine before going in. Alright. Alright, well, I mean, I know it's not yours, so I'm assuming you're going to say the same thing for this. Yeah, so that already somebody in that room. Someone reciting a speech.
I must take a different
No?
Is there something I...
Yeah, there is definitely something, because, I mean,
I cannot see the logic.
well, neither can I, but I mean, this is the new clue that I got. That said now I have a link.
I must act on thought.
Which means that it has to be this clue that connects.
What a revelation.
Why does it connect to the audible? Really? Must have been one of the last year of I should settle myself as soon as possible. Some guests arrived already. Why is that a deduction? We knew that already. This game, man. They really just wanted that mind map thing to look impressive and to have you interact with it a bunch. So they put a huge amount of just worthless shit in it.
Oh.
This plant is striking and full of color. It really draws one's attention in a positive way. Oh, this must be the ugly plant.
Aha.
Not consider any form of nature ugly, but I am not sure how I feel about this plant. Come my little great, yeah. The hideous plant. Oh, I didn't actually get any. And let me guess, I can't go into the other one though. Yeah. So why didn't I need a deduction for that? Bedroom next to Monsieur de Silva. This must be my room. But how do you know that? You didn't put the clues together, Poirot. Finally, I found my chamber. Although the journey was longer than expected, the destination is really quite charming. I should make myself familiar and comfortable in my new surroundings. A book? I wonder if I'll get the chance to catch up on my reading whilst I stay here. A piece of literature. The snow has limited the view from the window, but it certainly has a beauty of its own. A roaring fire. I could stand and gaze into the flames for hours. And for a detective like myself, finding this room is quite an arduous task. The house may hold more secrets than expected. Ayo, objective complete. Hello, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you for coming. I shall not take up too much more of your precious time.
Not at all, Detective. I had best not be away for too long. Madame would not be pleased when there is so much work to do.
Well, mademoiselle, if anyone was to ask, I required your urgent attention with a delicate matter. That should be enough to give you a moment's peace.
Thank you, Detective.
Can I assume you're aware of the probable blackmail ring in the
I
area?
have heard whispers, but this town is full of busybodies. It's hard to know what is the truth and what is hot air from socialites trying to outdo one another.
I would not have thought you want to join in with such chatter.
I'm not, but it can be hard to ignore. I try to quash any talk of it in the house. But it's easier said than done. When the staff are together, it seems to be a competition to see who can dream up the most scandalous rumour.
You are a loyal maid and friend. Mademoiselle Angeline is fortunate to have you.
It baffles me why they would target her in the first place. She has such a kind and pure soul. That may not be what you remember of Mademoiselle, but she has grown into a kind-hearted young lady.
I was wary of that when I arrived, but I myself can see a change in her, a maturity. And if it is as kind and pure as you have stated, she should not be troubled by the letter.
Letters, Detective. I have brought you the other.
Mademoiselle Vandenbosch, you do not know me, but I know you and your family very well. For years you have stood high on your pedestal, attending parties and living the lifestyle of the upper class, a life that you were born into, all the while hiding a sordid secret that would tarnish the Vanderbosch name forever. Once a respected family, morals and nobility, but now you rely on riches and jewelry to show your worth, a worth that is not deserved, even residing in a home that was obtained under your lies, but not for long. For your secret to remain exactly that, take a small brown paper parcel filled with 5,000 francs, addressed to Monsieur Dupont, to Barbier and Sons Cobblers, before sundown on Friday. If you do as I request, this will be the last you hear from me. You will be able to return to your life of stolen wealth and excess. If you refuse, be sure the name Vandenbosch will be on the whisper of lips for years to come. So why did we get the second letter before the first letter?
I have tried to tell her not to think any more on them, but she fears that even a fabricated story could ruin the family name. She even frets at what it may do to her engagement.
I have met Monsieur Demire, and I cannot see his love for Angeline diminishing at something so trivial. Merci for bringing this letter to me.
Mademoiselle Angeline worries so much about the family name, but from Mademoiselle Elizabeth's telling, she has nothing to worry about, at least from her own perspective. Perhaps the secret does not directly concern Angeline at all, and she is merely the easy target. I mean, that would make sense.
Merci, mademoiselle.
The pleasure is mine, Detective.
I mean, she would be the one to worry about her family and is more likely to pay up. So, I mean, even if the secret is about her mother, threaten her and, payday. Oh god, I got 2 links to make. Alright, blackmailer wishes family to suffer, and blackmailer wishes family to leave the manor. I mean,
Order and method.
no?
That is the way to...
Oh, shut up. Well, wants him to leave the manor and the house deeds are out.
Some would say a lucky guess.
Could the blackmailer be more interested in the house than the money they have demanded? May want the house, talk to Elizabeth, so wishes family to suffer. Possibly written in the house?
Come, my little grey cells. We must think...
Well, I mean, I guess I could also connect these two, potentially.
Order and method.
No. House may hold secrets.
I must take a different approach if I...
Yeah.
I must act on...
I mean, all of these are like, the house may hold secrets, and the blackmailer wishes family to leave the manor. Well, maybe they want them to leave the manor because they know of the secret. I mean, connecting these two doesn't make sense.
Is there something... This will not get me any...
I mean, what is the other link here? Ornamental, handwritten, payment acknowledge. Gideon paid the first demand. I mean, it doesn't really...
I cannot see the logic in this.
Neither could I, but... I mean, it can't be linking to this. Because it says I have one link. And before I made that one, it said I had 2. Which means that this one has to connect to something else. So they wish the family to suffer. But Gideon paid the first one.
I must take a
I mean, I honestly, I have absolutely no idea.
Come, my little grey cell.
Like, none whatsoever what I'm supposed to be connecting here. This game, not gonna lie, it's fine. But it is definitely rather shit when it comes to deductions. Like, it just seems to be throwing, like, random shit together. So many of the things that I've connected, I've made the same conclusion using different points that they didn't use.
This will not get me.
And it's just like,
Is
I'm
there
just connecting it
something
to
I am not-
everything because I don't know what else to do with it.
This will not get me any.
I mean, like, pretty much everything I'm connecting it to at this point makes
Order
no
and
sense.
method.
But I have nothing else that I can do here because nothing makes sense for it to connect. And obviously I can't
I
connect
cannot
it
see the
itself.
logic.
I mean,
I must act on.
wish his family would leave the
I
house.
must take a
The staff
different-
knows about it. No.
Come, my
Staff
little Gracie.
concerned. No. Payment
I
acknowledged.
cannot see the logic. Come, my little Grace.
I mean, what could possibly do it then? These are my only two new
Order
things.
and method. That is.
Like, I didn't have anything else new to connect.
Is there something?
So what the fuck wouldn't you, like, what didn't you tell me about before?
I must take a different approach if I.
Because like I said, it said I had 2 when I came in here. I connected that, it brought me this and went down to 1. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense that...
I must act on thought and.
Hang on. I think there was something in the options that I may turn on here. Yeah, deduction hints. Okay, but I've had this for a while and it
Pieces
wasn't...
of the puzzle are finally.
Also, that's not really a hint. That's literally just telling me. The staff members are aware the blackmail could possibly know the reason why. I had that for so long, both of those. Why is it just letting me connect them now? Why didn't it tell me I had a link to make before? Appears the Van den Bosch secret may not be a secret at all. The house staff may know what the blackmailer is holding over the family. I'm just going to leave this on. I'm done dealing with their shitty deductions that half the time don't even make any fucking sense. Alright.
Of course, Detective. What is it?
I was not aware there were plans to sell the house.
That is news to me, Detective.
The deeds to the house that have been left on the table. Perhaps I am jumping to a hasty assumption.
Oh no, Madame asked Archie to inquire in town about having the house registered as a landmark. It's a shame the snow is so thick. The gardens are quite wonderful in full bloom. Perhaps you will be able to walk them when the snow clears.
Do you know where Mademoiselle Angeline is now?
She will no doubt be with Master Gideon. The party was just beginning when I came upstairs.
That is my cue to make a grand entrance. Am I presentable enough for the creme of society?
Quite handsome, Detective.
Merci. If you catch me snoring, please poke me in the ribs.
I will use Madame's sharpest poker.
It sounds as though someone else may have already been poked.